So hi guys, VTech here, Blueberry Hill. So I'm playing with the Bobcat today. I need to pull the motor to get the fuel tank out. It's punctured, and there's also a hydraulic leak somewhere along where the puncture is as well. So here you see me disassembling the back of the Bobcat, just normal stuff to remove off the motor so I can yank it out. This part wasn't too bad. It's just some of it's a little bit hard to get to. This thing's kind of, a lot of machinery crammed into a box. So the backside didn't cause too much trouble. There's a part that I'm going to show you in a little bit. One of the I think it's 6-wire or 5-wire connector got melted to itself, so I had to use a metal saw blade to actually cut it open and get it disconnected. So I'm gonna have to deal with that later. The pins are all still there, everything's good, but the connector's dead. I have no idea why it melted together. It might have been close to something hot, I guess, right? Anyway, don't know what. But the rest of everything worked pretty good. All the electrical connectors did fine, disconnected. All the normal stuff I have to pull off, the fuel lines, the filler neck, radiator, hoses, AC, and the muffler and all that kind of good stuff. So anyway, typical stuff. More in a bit. So here's the only fun part out the back of the Bobcat that posed some problem. The connector that you see on the right side of the Bobcat filter, right where the light's shining, the part that's supposed to unclip was melted to the second part. So I used first I tried an X-Acto knife. That didn't work too good, and then I tried you see a little red blade on the valve cover on the left there. I used that, and I actually cut through the plastic really well and opened it up, and then I could take them apart. The connector is fried. The wires and the connectors are all good, but the connector itself is no longer weather tight, nor will it clip together, so I gotta figure that out later. I'll probably replace the part on the motor and leave the other part of the harness okay. I'll just zip tie it or something. We'll see. Anyway, well, there you see me right here using the blade. That worked really good. It's a hacksaw, for the sawzall metal blade, and that worked through the plastic really nice. So I got that done, and then I moved to the other side of the Bobcat to get all the hydraulics disconnected, which turned into a nice fun time. So here you see me, I'm trying to pull the thing apart. I think I finally got it, and the second pops open. My big fat head in the way, but a few seconds here, yay, there it is. Anyway, I'll figure that out later. So this is kind of my first time working on a Bobcat, although I did change all the filters and other junk inside here before. But it's not a whole lot of fun. Everything's crammed. All the hoses are pretty stiff because they're big fat hoses, and very little room to get around in. I actually didn't have the right size tools for all the hydraulic lines, so I used a monkey wrench, and for the most part got all of them except for 3. So I got to come back to that. Make a trip to Harbor Freight and buy 1.5 and 1 1/4 inch wrenches, and that should do it. But anyway, I struggled with the rest of it. Just access is hard. I've reduced the audio because I was swearing through this whole process for a couple hours, and managed to do everything but the engine mounts and 3 connections. One's a radiator hose on the back, actually it's a hydraulic fill hose, and then 2 hydraulic lines that I have to pop off, and then we're good to go for yanking the motor. And you'll see that obviously somewhere later in the videos here. But anyway, here's my little cheat technique. If you don't have a very long wrench, just put 2 of them together and just whack at it. There you go. Ta-da! I like that method. It's actually pretty good, gives you good leverage. The only bad part is how you connect the 2. You don't sometimes have the room. So I ran into that with the other hoses. But for the most part, everything's good. It wasn't as hard as I thought. It's just messy and cramped. I don't know if a cat would have been any better, but people I know that work on those things, they say they're all bad. So it's all tight. They all break. Have fun. Anyway, we'll talk at you later. So you're going to see me using crescent wrenches and stuff, what I call monkey wrenches. This one line, I have my hand on there, you saw. That line is stuck like you wouldn't believe. The next day, actually, I continued to work on it after buying a whole bunch of wrenches. This day I didn't have the right wrenches, but I did the following day. Went to Harbor Freight and picked up a set of cheap wrenches that I could do the rest of the hydraulic lines with. Anyway, that hose right in front of me could not undo that one side. I had to actually undo it at the motor side. I'll talk about that in the next video. But these things are pretty cramped, so the crescent wrench is not the right tool. That's all I had. I just continued to try to mess with it. I got most of them. There's a couple of ones I didn't get just because of leverage. It's a short crescent wrench, and the wrench set I bought at Harbor Freight did the trick the following day. But anyway, live and learn. I got the wrenches now, so I can put them back together, so at least that part. But yeah, this thing's a pain in the ass to work on, no doubt about it. Everything's really cramped. Just take your time, muddle through it. A lot of cursing going on, of course, but I managed to do it. There you see me point at the bastard hose. Anyway, slow and go. So for some leverage, make a short wrench longer, I put 2 wrenches together and get a little bit of leverage. You'll see me do that in a second. They weren't on there like super hard, but just access is bad. So you use a big open wrench and put it on the end of the other one and just kind of pry it up, and that seems to work. Like I mentioned earlier, the crescent wrench, it's kind of big, so it doesn't have very good access to stuff. It's much worse than an open wrench like the one I'm holding there. But you need the right sizes to make it work, and these big hydraulic lines are 1 1/4 and 1 1/8 inch, which I didn't have. I had 1 inch and 1.5 inches. Go figure.